Hello, everyone. Welcome to Metaphysical Happy Hour. I'm your host, Cassie Clayton.
And I'm your co-host, Tracy Escobar. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. I think we have a fun show planned for everybody.
Oh, yeah, absolutely we do.
I know. I hope you all are listening. I hope you all set your notifications. I hope you guys are going to join us. So make sure you leave comments on Facebook and YouTube. Giving you a heads up right now. Leave your comments. Say hello. Tell us where you're from.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, here they are. Look at.
And then, here we go.
Here we go. Hi, Krista. So how are you, Miss Cass?
I'm doing good. Just busy. Busy working away. So
plugging away. We're plugging away. Who do we have today? Oh, we can do shameless plug. I always forget. Shameless plugs first.
Shameless plug. So you go first.
Let's do shameless plugs. Okay, I'll go first. I have a workshop coming up. So no, I have a class coming up, I think, July at MOJ. I think it's, I didn't write the date down.
July 23rd.
I have it written down, but I did not put the date. From 12 to 4, July 23rd. From 12 to 4, there it is, July 23rd, 12 to 4.
Now, one question is: Are these two separate classes though? Because you do have the mediumship, and then you do have the psychic class. So it is the your psychic from 12 to 2, and then your mediumship from 2 to 4, right?
Yes, thank you for. Okay. My brain is still on fire. Yes, so 2 psychic and then mediumship. Yes, and then August 20th, I have a whole workshop. So that's the workshop. Yes. That's You Can Be a Medium, the workshop. And so that's like a 4-hour workshop all on mediumship. And then another class there too. Mm-hmm. And then I think I have Flow Retreat coming up next year in May. There it is, May 4th through 10th. And there's our lovely behinds on the picture. But it was a great photo. It was a great shot.
You chose a photo.
Great photo. But yeah, that was such a fun time. We went to Belize and we spent like 6 days in Belize and just had an incredible time. Went and saw so many places, so many things, and went with, I think.
Well, and everything's just jam-packed in like, like I remember there was one day that you were like, it was the day we were supposed to go cave tubing, and you were like, and then we ended up deciding to move it to the next day, and you're like, oh, we didn't do enough today, and I'm like, I think it's okay.
It's okay. It's like, I want to cram as much,
you know.
There's definitely not a dotted down time on this retreat, but
no, but I mean, at the same time, it's a wonderful retreat. We have so many cool things that happen and good things that go on during it.
What's your favorite? What do you think? Excursion.
Actually, Brittany and I were talking about it earlier. Because we were helping work on her website and stuff, and it's the day we went to the waterfalls.
Oh yeah, playing around in all the water. I didn't.
Everybody was like in the waterfalls, sliding around,
sliding off the rocks into the falls.
But the cool part about that is that everybody was like, we did have like a few people who maybe it wasn't such an easy trek for them.
Yes.
To get to and from, but it was everybody kind of came together and helped make it happen.
People,
all the things. And so it was great.
It was great. Everybody pitched in, everybody helped everybody. So it was really fun. My thing, I think the hospitality there, I loved. So y'all, we did this one excursion where we actually kind of went to a Mayan family's home, kind of, and had lunch. They made us lunch, and we got to learn how to cook Mayan food outside on their they had a big thing outside, and they made homemade tortilla. Like, it was phenomenal. And so, I don't know, it's a lot of humble people, a lot of culture in Belize. We went to a spa and did massages and a nature walk, like just so much. So if you're interested, you can check out my website and you can click on the link and go see all the details. We are doing it May 4th through the 11th of 2024. And there it is, Flow Retreat Take 2. Here we go again. So let's go have some fun. We've already sold 3 spots, so we've only got 7 left. So super, super, super exciting. And I think that's all I got. Oh, I wrote a book, by the way. Right there. So that's another thing. It's on Amazon. You Can Be a Medium, How a Red Couch Led Me to Mediumship and Turned My Pain into Passion. And then I have a deck of cards. So that's out there. That's all I got going on. Cass, your turn.
So, well, I think the next several months are just all about expansion. As people know, I focus and hone in on websites, the logos, the branding materials, all of those things. We work with spiritual light workers to help get them to build their brands and get them out there. But we are also beginning to step into a space where we're able to add monthly social media packages. We are able to, we brought on an SEO person that does, I'm super psyched about her because she has been doing SEO since before SEO was even SEO.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So she knows all the possible ins and outs. And so for me, it's actually turning into kind of a situation where we get to really more comprehensively take care of the client, not just to help them get up and get started or help them with their brand changes and things like that, but also help them as a full service company. So
cool.
that part is pretty awesome. And then last show I kind of started a little bit of showing off a little bit of the Oracle deck that I've been working on. So I've got that card to pull up today. And today this is my version of the All-Seeing Eye.
Nice.
And the All-Seeing Eye is one of the oldest examples of this type of magic, of like really old school magic. And it's a universal symbol representing spiritual sight, inner vision, higher knowledge, insight into occult mysteries. So
nice.
That is my version.
That's your version. We have a lot on our plates, a lot going on behind the scenes. Oh yeah, I do have another podcast too. I'll throw that out there.
Oh, you do? And what's your episode coming up this week?
Oh yeah, it's me. We are doing a tea time with Tracy, I think. Yeah, so I'm reading this book called The Tools right now. And it's fascinating. And so I thought I would do a little series on the tools. I'm probably going to have to break it up in 2 episodes, but we're going to talk about the tools and how to navigate life and how to have some coping mechanisms in place and some techniques and tools that you can do to get through life. So I think it's going to be interesting. It'll be my first solo show. I hope I can keep it interesting.
Well, and also I kind of want to give you a little bit of a shout out to someone who has been helping both of us behind the scenes, because where would we be without her?
Oh yes,
because Brittany, she's our assistant and has been helping us do all the things, and so she's part of how we all stay straight.
And we need it. Yes. Hello. Yay.
So anyway,
we can lead into who's our guest tonight.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So tonight we have a very exciting guest. Her name is Tami, and she does animal communication and mediumship and all sorts of amazing, awesome things. So
she does. You want me to read? I have her bio. Do you want me to read it? You want me to read her bio?
Tami, you get to hang out for your bio.
Exactly.
I printed it before you got on because I wanted to read it too. So she is a medium, healer, animal communicator. She lives in Asheville, North Carolina, where I just left. Yay. Yay for me. But it's a beautiful, beautiful state. I love it. If I just wouldn't have met somebody, I would have stayed there. She runs a private animal sanctuary where she connects with animals of all kinds. Tami's journey began in childhood and developed as a student of the world famous medium James Van Praagh. Her gift of connecting emotionally, mentally, and spiritually with pets and people of console and pets and people help console those in need. Tami's passion is helping pets who have crossed over connect with their humans. This healing affirmation completes a beautiful circle between souls and transforms grief into peace. I think that's beautiful. And now that I've always been a dog mom, but not a dog mom like I'm a dog mom now. It's different, right? Before I was a dog mom, but they were on autopilot. Now I'm really involved in the dog's life, right? So I can see how people get so attached to their pets. And I've met so many people, because I told you, we don't even go to a restaurant unless there's a dog place to have him eat too. But I've met so many people that it's their children, it's their loves of their life, it's their pet, it's their companion. I bought mine during a time where I really needed like unconditional love, right? And that's exactly what they do. So I think what you do is phenomenal for people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Always open doors for hearts.
Always, yeah.
No matter what. So it's interesting to me. You said, "Oh, I got the dog when I needed some unconditional love in my life," and because I always ask, like, well, why were you looking for a dog or a cat, or how did they come into your life? And they'll say, oh, I just had a divorce, or, I'm in this huge transition. I'm moving, and animals are actually sent in our lives. They are sent in on cue. They come on cue and they leave on cue. So yeah, and I always tell people it's always connected. So it's really interesting in your own life if you look at what was going on in your life when that animal came
into your life. Yeah. For me, I told you my story. Like, I needed unconditional love at that time, and at that time, my fiance was like dead set against it. Nope. Like, we travel a lot, right? And so he's like, it just wouldn't go with our lifestyle. I travel back and forth to Texas and North Carolina. He's like, what were we thinking? And then he gave in, and we found one, and it's changed our lives. He's like our baby now, right? He's in love with him. I'm in love with him. Definitely unconditional love is what I needed and what he gives. And, we talked about, were we meant to be his, right? Because I told you he's got, and all of Facebook knows, they know my puppy Guinness, that he's had bladder surgery. He's had, right? He's one kidney. So he's a troubled little puppy, but if it wouldn't have been us, he may be gone already, right? But
what drew you to him?
He was the last one. We had no choice. He was the last one.
You did have a choice. You took him in,
Yeah, but we didn't know.
Elsewhere, right?
We didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So we went out with one of my friends, and she had the sister that she had gotten for her dad, and we fell in love with the sister. It was just the cutest little thing. So she gave us the breeder. So when we contacted the breeder, she only had one left, and that was it. And he was the runt of the mix. He was the last one born and the last one to be adopted. So yeah,
it's the old universal bait and switch. Mm-hmm.
Is that what that is?
Exactly. That you kind of meet one, and then it opens your heart, and then you get led exactly where you're supposed to go. And it just happens to be the last one, and it's the smallest one.
Yes.
And you just have to take that one.
You have to take it.
And the reason is your heart already got connected with the sister. Aww. It opened your heart. So it's just like a little underground network.
It's crazy. It's all planned, right? And they knew it, because we were going to fix him. Once we found out things were wrong, we're like, okay, we got to fix him. There's no going back, right? So we tried to fix him. Didn't work, but now we've got a system in place where he's having a good life. He loves it.
Where's his little picture? Anyway, right?
Anyway,
yeah. And so it's interesting to me that you said you needed unconditional love in your life. And I wanted to ask you, how did you know you needed that at that time? And secondly, that is exactly what you're offering Guinness.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
How interesting.
How interesting.
The very thing that we need in our lives is the same thing that they are learning themselves too, right? Because they have their own soul path as well. While we're busy doing our lives and we get an animal, what we don't realize is, just like with kids, if we ask kids, oh, what is your opinion of mom? And you'd have 3 kids and they'd all have different opinions. Right. Because they grew up differently at certain ages. Well, the animals are having the same kind of experience. While you're having your experience of them, they're having their experience of you.
I think that's beautiful. What a great thing.
I love that your soul paths interconnected in this beautiful space called, I just needed unconditional love in my life.
And, you brought up a good point about children, and that's why I needed the unconditional love. I have 3 children who all have different opinions on how they were raised, and some are angry, right? So at that time, there's a lot of pointing fingers at mama. Yeah. And so that's where the unconditional love came from, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, I just need someone who loves me regardless.
I love that. I love
regardless.
That. And he did too. And he does too. So it's a beautiful setup. But yeah, I love that. We get led without realizing we're following what we're intuitively guided
to do. I think it's beautiful. I just love what we do. Don't you just love it?
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of loving it, how did you even get started? What led you down this path that most people would call us all crazy,
Yeah, so true. So I guess I came in this way without realizing anything. So, at 4, I was highly aware of my family members and all the different areas they were going. I was highly aware of animals. And so I spent a lot of time outside, actually. With the animals, because it was so chaotic in my house. It was just like crazy making, with all kinds of dysfunction and violence and all kinds of stuff. So I I'd go outside, and I literally had a whole world out there. And the animals, like some kids, they would come to the door, can Tammy come out to play? It would be like the animals coming and knocking on the door, can Tammy come out to play today? But I would have neighborhood animals. And at the time, I suppose, they were very healing to me without me realizing that's what that was.
Yeah.
And we got a dog named Ginger, and she was my first dog. And I'm pretty sure that was some kind of negotiation for something that had happened in the house. And it was like, oh, let's get the girls a dog kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
She came into my life, but she was very motherly. She was very nurturing, exactly what I needed. But she and I would walk around. We were on a circle, and we would take walks every day, and she would pick the neighbors that she wanted to go see. So we would go up and sit with the neighbors if they were on the porch or whatever. And then Ginger was done, and then we'd go on to the next one. So she always seemed to know who needed help or just comfort or whatever. Aww. So at any rate, yeah, the animals all throughout my life have shown up, have guided me. And as I got older, they would come in the most magical and unusual of ways by the time I was out in my adult life. And for a while I thought, oh my gosh, I must have a neon sign up because they keep coming, and I'm not doing, I am not looking for these animals anywhere. They would show up in dreams, and then a week later they'd come.
Show up?
Yep, totally. They would, I never went looking. They would show up in a photo, and I would intuitively know. And this is before I had intuitive language for myself, before I understood my own intuitive skills or whatever. But and that's what led to the animal sanctuary, which I still have, and I was at yesterday actually, working with the animals. And it's a varied population, aging from like 5 to, I think my oldest is 18. They come and they just live forever, and they get younger. Actually.
They get younger.
They do get younger.
This is Genny. Say hi.
Okay. He's making a cameo appearance.
He's making his cameo appearance. Say hi. He usually does when Spirit's in the house. Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Spirit dog. Yeah.
Well, it's so funny when you all talk about like how animals just show up, because the first pet that I actually got after I came off of cruise ships, I walked into a PetSmart. It was a random one, nowhere near my house, nothing. Like, it was just one of those days where I was out driving and I was like, you know what? Mom and dad are out of the country right now. I'm staying with mom and dad. I was like, I'm going to go in and get a fish.
Is that what you got?
I'm going to go in and get a fish. Mom and dad won't be upset about a fish. Like, it'll just be another living thing in the house, because I had come home and there was all this commotion on the ship, and then I came home and it was very silent in the house. So I was like, it'll just be another living thing. I walked out with the dog.
Did you?
Oops.
Oopsie.
And then when my parents came home, my mom was like, what?
What's that thing?
And I was like, he's got a sister.
Oh no.
And so they were high. My parents were high. Well, my dad was like, oh no.
Dad was no.
I am not getting a dog. No. Mom was like, yes, I want one. So we ended up getting one, and that dog became my dad's love of his life.
Of course.
Man's best friend. Yeah.
But yeah, we had like our little 2 chihuahuas like running around the house making.
And do you feel like the dog came to help your dad open his heart?
A little bit, yeah. They had some kind of tragic experiences with the passing of pets before, so it was kind of that. And then also my sister goes, well, she's not going back to ships now, we know that. We're not going to leave that dog
behind. Not leaving them here with us.
So that was kind of how we kind of knew at that point, okay, my days of living and working on cruise ships were
over.
Yeah
They should be a dog mom.
It's like a coincidence, not really coincidence, when you look back and you can track it. It's fascinating. That they totally come in on cue, and all the ones that have come to me have come in at very specific times, right when I needed it, you know.
Yeah.
And so all of the clients I work with, it's very much the same thing. I always tell people it's easier to track when they come to us. We can look back and go, oh yeah, this is what happened, you know. It's less, it's harder, more difficult to do it when they pass because it doesn't seem like it fits anything. So that one takes a little bit more working with, but they always, you know, I had something drop in today on a bike ride, and it was like when Katie, one of my dogs, passed, actually July 26th coming up in 2019. And I knew that we were both growing on. And what I heard from her was, I have to go so we can grow.
Aww.
So if you think about it, we all grow. We get thrown into soul growth.
Yes.
You know, I mean, when they pass, we literally get thrown into the same kind of transformation to new beginnings, new life. And it's you know, it takes a little, you know, navigating that piece. It's not as easy. I love we have like the crowd.
I know. They're all the pups. All the people are coming in.
Yes.
I lost one, and I can probably pinpoint on the way out the why, right? I was in a transformation period. I was traveling between Texas and North Carolina, back and forth. I couldn't take the dogs because I was living in a tiny apartment. So I had someone move into my house. My son, he didn't want to take care of them. So it was a lot of stress at that time. And then one got cancer and passed away within 3 months of my transition of moving.
Right. Exactly.
And it freed me to go.
Yes.
To go grow.
It is the truth. And it's hard because, you know, I know from my own journey, I haven't always been as graceful about it as, you know, I can describe here. I remember in fact, I've got a photo of him up. It's Murphy was a white lab, and he came to me at a really important time in my life. And then when he passed, I didn't do well. And so I went to deep grief, and he passed in like November 2016. Well, by March of 2017, I was still very much grieving. Only it was St. Patrick's Day. And so I decided to put a little photo of him as a puppy up with a little clover in his mouth. And all day long, I was looking at that, and I was like, oh my God, he was so cute. And I just love that. And then the next morning I had a dream, and in the dream, Murphy came to me, and I opened the door, and he was there, and he was jumping up, and I held him, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. And it was literally when I woke up, I could feel his fur. I could, like I had touched him. It was totally a visitation. And what they shared with me was, in my grief, he couldn't get through to me. And the only reason why he could is I forgot I was grieving that day.
See?
I forgot it. So I was concentrating on his cuteness, and because it takes work. Think about it.
It does. Well, I tell even regular clients who aren't dreaming of their loved ones and they're so upset, I was like, you're too in your grief. You can't get in there. You can't penetrate.
It blocks.
It blocks.
So I you know, didn't realize what I was doing when I was putting his photo up, but that was a big teaching for me, because you know, my vibration shot up here, which is where, you know, where they are, right?
Yeah.
And we're down here, they can't get to us. So yeah, it's a good kind of thing to hold on to when we are in the deep grief, to know that when that does lift, they can get through. And will.
And they will, right?
Yes.
Well, speaking of which, do dogs leave signs like humans do? I mean,
yes.
Oh, do
yes, totally. Like if I use Murph, for example,
yes.
In between his leaving and that dream, I was vacuuming one day, and I had this closet that is one of those you kind of need to straighten up, like with towels and stuff. Yeah. And so I think I got in there, and things fell down. What really fell out was a throw with his photo on it that somebody had given me. The photo I'm looking at is him. He was picking some tulips, and I got a photo of it. And so somebody had put that on a throw for me. It fell out, and I was just like so shocked. And I left the vacuum cleaner running, and I just slid down the side of the wall on the floor, holding it, sobbing terribly. And then I looked back at that later, and I was like, Tami, do you suppose that was a sign? And I couldn't even, like, I should have been like, oh my God, he's showing me he's here. This is amazing. I totally didn't have the bandwidth to do that. But yes, they leave all kinds of signs, amazing signs.
Amazing signs. I think it's beautiful.
human spirits. Yes.
So that's the same, right?
Yeah, totally. Yes. And you can ask, I always tell people to ask for a radish, and they're like, what?
Why radish?
Yeah. And ask for something specific. Ask for something that you're going to know, something that's off that you're going to go, oh,
that's him.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you think others, like, okay, so people who aren't mediums like me and you, like, how can they connect with their dog or their pet? Any tips?
Oh, I'm always forever. Everybody's got the ability to connect, and it's through the heart. That heart connection is that's your pathway in. And I always tell people, don't ask, in some of the readings, like, can you tell them that I love them? I'm like,
you just did.
You tell them, you tell them, they already are hearing this. And James Van Praagh has this great exercise that he would teach in workshops about, connect, like going into your heart space and getting that kind of green energy going and connecting it with the animal or the spirit you want to connect and get it going. Like you see it going back and forth, and it creates a channel and it opens things up. And people can do, any of us can
Anybody can do it.
Yes. I also suggest that people, sometimes when their animals are in transition or they're sick or whatever, even before, at any time in their lives, they can sit with their animal, put your hand on their heart and just feel the breathing, feel their heart, close your eyes and match your breathing to theirs.
Okay.
Train, and you will find your heartbeats match.
The same, yep.
And what that does is you're imprinting that essence. You will know that essence and that spirit when they show up again.
Oh, beautiful. Everyone's going to go out and run and do it, right? Go. I get so many people who I do readings for who just miss their pets so badly. Yeah.
Well, and they think they don't have the ability to connect them. Like you do. 100%. Another thing I love to suggest is, and people don't often think about this, is write to your animal after they've passed. Like, I had an animal, Eddie, and it was a tumultuous time, and he had come to me in a hard way. Anyway, I was like, dear Eddie. And so I'm telling it, I'm telling everything.
Yeah.
And I was, okay, it must be something with vacuuming me, because I was vacuuming again.
Oh, were you?
Apparently. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I need to go sit at my secretary. So I go sit, and all of a sudden I started feeling, dear Tami, I love you, and I want you to know, and it was from Eddie. And so I often tell people we all know how to write letters. We were taught to write letters when we were children. It bypasses the brain that says you can't do this. It's brain activity. Brain, we're going to write a letter. So, and it's amazing what comes through with that because at some point the heart engages and soul information comes through. So, after we get, especially when we're grieving, if we write that letter, you're probably going to need Kleenex and a lot of tissue, a lot of things. And then they may not want to try it as the animal writing them back quite yet.
Okay.
It'll come. It'll come. They will be amazed at what comes through. I've been able to get very direct answers. I had an animal who left in a way I just didn't agree with. I just didn't. And so I was pretty mad.
You were mad at him.
And I was like, dear Sasha, I would have gladly helped you across if you had just asked me, but I really don't agree with how you went. and what I found out after I had gone through that and grieving is what she told me was, and this was the first time I realized animals had a part of it. She said, I went out as I chose. I went out as a warrior.
Oh.
The border collie mix, very proud.
I had a border collie mix too.
Yeah, and I was like, let me get this straight. That you chose how you went? Absolutely, she said.
Oh.
So if we think about that a minute, they've shown me time and time again that they always have a part in life choices and passings.
That, I think, will make a lot of people feel better, because I get a lot of people who get really guilty for having to put their loved one down. On
a soul level, that animal has to be agreeing to it, or it couldn't happen.
Okay, because they feel
bottom line.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we do our part. The vet does their part. The animal's also doing their part. Okay. And what I have found is some of the greatest teachings actually come in those few moments. I mean, Sasha, when she passed, and I found her, and it was very tragic. And she had been so proud, and her heart had been so defended all of her life. And I was so shocked. So I'm holding her, and she takes 3 breaths. And in that 3rd breath, she passes. But when her spirit left her body, it was the most vulnerable, the sweetest spirit I'd ever had that she hadn't been able in her lifetime to share. But when she released, that true essence came through. So, we do our part, and that may be working with the vet and deciding and saying, but the animal has to be in agreement with that too. It's part of their soul path as well. And, I've watched whole scenarios where the vet actually is, well, no matter if we're involved, we're learning.
Okay.
The vet actually has a teaching that the animal is still doing up into the very end.
See, there's purpose for everything, right?
There is.
We just have to see it from that perspective. I know it hurts deeply, but there is a purpose for everything. So I think that's so beautiful. We have a question from Krista Smith. Let's put it up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Are animals like humans when they pass? Do they try and communicate with their owners or other pets that were in the home?
Oh, 100%.
100%, yeah.
100%. And, a lot of times the other animals are quite aware of, it's like they have the pre-meeting.
Yeah.
This is what's going to go down. I'm going to be leaving and I'm passing the baton to you kind of thing.
Yes.
Animals are always very, very aware. So yes, they do try to communicate and go to great lengths to do so, and can become quite current in their lives, helping them forward.
Okay. Yeah.
We think when they pass, that connection's gone and that has ended, but it hasn't, and it's just learning a different way to engage with that.
Okay.
Spirit.
Yeah. Do they reincarnate like we do, or if you believe in reincarnation? Let me just put it that way.
What I have found with the animals, it's interesting because that gets asked a lot. It's almost like if they do, it's a renegotiation of a soul contract.
Okay.
If that makes sense. It's like we've decided to continue, but we're going to grow forward in this way.
Okay.
And I have one on the property now that is it's Cat, and his name's Skittles, but he is a soul blend from Sneakers that came before.
Oh.
And the way Sneakers came to me was feral, and then he lived with me for about 2 years, and then he got terribly ill and died. I took him to the vet, and he died right there on the table, and I was in such shock. And then about 2 weeks later, I had a dream, and in the dream, Sneakers was coming down the driveway, and I was like, "Sneakers, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, I hadn't seen you." And he stepped aside and showed me this little black and white kitten.
Oh.
And then I woke up. Week later,
black and white.
My son is coming into the house, and he's like calling me because we're fenced and gated. And he's like, "Yeah, there's a kitten in the bushes." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're seeing something, son." And he goes, No, it is. So I said, "Well, bring him in." So he brings him in, and it's that kitten from my dream. Skittles is still, he's very, very, Sneakers, what I have found, and James and I have talked about this a lot, it's a soul blending. Like usually it's not the exact, it's like a soul, because we're all here to grow.
Right.
So we want to learn new things.
Right.
But we come and it's like enhanced version.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's almost like when you think about renegotiating or continuing on a soul contract, like this was really fun. Let's learn some more together.
Okay. So, and then they come back.
Yeah.
So fascinating. So fascinating. So if you guys have any questions about your pet or anything, leave them in the comments. We're going to do some mini readings towards the end of the show. So I just wanted to make sure you guys put some comments out there, YouTube and Facebook. I wanted to ask about first of all, Cassie, have you had to deal with a pet death? I know we all had to deal with one. Just checking in on you.
Yeah. Well, so we had one pet growing up that we just don't know what happened to him.
Okay.
He was a very, very sweet cat. And so we think that he just got scooped up by someone. But yeah. And then we also had, we've had pets as far as back as I can remember. So
yeah, so a lot of,
we had one pet that, it was my mom's dog, and she passed, And I swear my mom was like never going to forgive us, because it was that one night that we were like, Mom, let's leave. Like, no, we don't want to go sit outside. Let's go like have dinner. And she got into like the a box of apricots.
Oh no.
And ate the whole thing.
Uh-oh.
We didn't know at the time that was, it was just one of those, we didn't know. She got a little bit sick. She, did the things, and then she seemed fine. So we were like, okay, great. Fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that was just not the case. And so that was a very traumatic passing for my mother, and and the rest of the family, but particularly my mom, because that literally was my mom's dog. Wow. But yeah, so we've had, I've just told all of mine they're not allowed to.
Exactly. Don't die on me.
All 5 of mine have to live forever. Sorry, you came into my life. You're never allowed to leave.
Oh, I know.
What do you think I'm thinking about your mom. What do you think why was the impact so great with her? I know you said it was my mom's. Was it a dog? You said?
Yeah, no. It was a little Chihuahua. I think it was just more just the way it passed. It was like in her arms. So it was just one of those like very tragic events.
Yeah. So, did she feel like it was like one of the kids? Like did she treat this? Yeah. Because that's what I'm feeling.
The dog went in her purse she took it everywhere. We were.
Yeah. And that's a true grief when we lose. I had somebody on my show today that had lost a dog, and it was very much for her like losing a child. Yeah, very much so.
Very much.
And really, I always tell people there's we're all souls, whether we have fur bodies or whether, human bodies.
Right.
We all have essences. And so, a lot of times animals come in the form of children. I had a dog named Mikey. He was a little boy, totally a little boy. Aww. Like when Mikey showed me himself energetically, he was like one of those, like had baseball cap on backwards.
Yep.
Totally little boy.
Totally.
Yeah. So they do come and they represent those places in our lives. So did she ever recover from it? Or did she just stop talking about it? Like we don't talk about it anymore.
I mean, she would still cry today if it got brought up. So,
right.
But yeah, she did end up like my parents' dog when I got my dog, his sister came along with him, and so
the setup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be mad at me if you got one too, right?
Yeah.
They so they bonded pretty closely with that one, and then that was a little bit hard because at some point we had to find her a new home because my parents could no longer they just were in a space where they just couldn't take care of her. And so we did, I was in charge of making sure she went off to a very good home and things like that. But I mean, I had one night, only one, where one of mine disappeared for one night. Osiris got out and it was like the coldest night of the year. And he's like my ground kitty. He does not climb. He is like always hiding under things. The only dogs he know are my dogs, where like they will not hurt him. Loud things scare him. And he got out, and it was like probably one of the scariest 24 hours of my life.
Yeah.
And when they found him, it was interesting too, because I spoke with another woman that does like animal communication, and she was like, when you find him or when he shows himself, he will be loud about it. And basically I went around, threw flyers up all around the complex. Neighbors. I actually had like some people in the neighboring complexes like, you're not allowed to post flyers. And I was like, you think I care?
Right, exactly. My baby is missing.
I don't care. But I was sitting at my computer waiting for a class to start, and I got a phone call, and the guy was like, "Hey, I think I found your cat." And when I found him, like he's just right outside the door, actually, but just frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen to the ground and crying his little heart out. And I picked him up and I brought him in, and he came and he laid underneath the covers for the next like 10 hours and slept. He was like,
that's an adventure for him.
It's scary. I don't want to do it again, Mom.
He's like, no, thank you. No.
How did he get out in the first place?
It was just one of those, like, I fell asleep and the back door was just kind of cracked open. I do have a gate that's locked behind that, but you know, it was just kind of one of those where the door had kind of swung open and something got his attention and he wandered out. And
yeah, I think it was a big uh-oh.
Oh, now what? Now what do I do?
Totally mama's boy.
Yes, he is.
Which brings me to another question. Do dogs have memory? Like someone told me, like you feel so heartbroken when you have to rehome them, but someone told me they don't have a memory where they remember the old place. They only remember the smell. So if you came around, they would remember, but it's not like they miss you. Is that true?
That's interesting. That's a really interesting question. Animals stay in the present moment. Number one.
That's what it is. It's present. Right?
It's very present moment.
Yeah.
They do have great association, and I don't know that I would agree that they don't have memory.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah.
Because they've shown me pictures, images of where they've been and what they're like some of the mother dogs I've had on the property can show me that they weren't allowed to keep their babies, and that finally they were able to complete that journey for themselves. So but I do find that they transition more easily than humans do.
Okay.
They pivot more gracefully.
They
do. Do they feel sadness from where they've been? Absolutely. If it's been a sad situation,
okay.
That's part of their healing journey where they get to choose to be part of the healing journey too. It's not all up to us to like, oh, poor baby. They actually, just like in anything, they contribute to that too. So, we can only do so much. And then, they move along. I had a Basset named Annie, and she could never, the sadness never left her.
It didn't.
The mother's sadness never quite left her, that she never could fully leave that behind. And then I have others who just move forward. And I will say this, when we get rescue animals and they've been in tragic situations, it's okay to tell the story. Like, it's an important part of their journey. This is what happened to them. Where I find that people, where animals get locked into, is they just keep telling the tragic story
over
and over. Right. And it keeps them from moving forward. They never learn who they are apart from this story. Same thing for humans, right? Same thing for us.
Yes.
Like, let me tell you my story, right?
Yes.
So true, and it holds them in place. And it's sad because they never get to learn who they truly are apart from all that, right? Just like us. When we go away from home, we get to learn who we are apart from our, parents.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that holding them in the place with the sad story. The stories are meant to be told, and stories are meant to be shared. And then after that, let it go and let them grow forward with where they are in the present moment.
I had a therapist on not too long ago, and she made me realize that. She goes, we have to stop talking about the trauma. Trauma's done. You can't do nothing about it. Now you just focus on your healing.
Right.
But why are you keep wanting to revisit the trauma?
And it activates that vibration again.
It does.
It actually makes it alive again.
Yeah.
And so,
forget the trauma.
For all the animals that are with me, every one of them has a story. Every one of them came in very, all kinds of stories I could tell you. But I will say they've all grown into who they really are, and they came to learn friendship, and they came to learn being a mother, and they came to learn different soul paths like they're doing the same thing we are. They're learning the same things.
I want to know about your sanctuary. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a private sanctuary. So it's basically the animals that have come to me over the years. For a while, they came at a pretty rapid clip. So much, I think I was telling you, I was a little worried, like, what is wrong with me? Because I keep having dreams and they keep showing up. But what I learned is they each came in on cue, and they came for a lot of different reasons, obviously for their own soul growth, but also to help. Well, I guess I needed a lot of training because it took a village. And still does. But they came to learn, like I have Bean and Evie, and they are the best of friends, and they came to learn friendship. Aww. You know, I have many on the property that you would never think they were friends, and they're like best buds. Really? And go places together. They look everything. So yeah, the sanctuary is, the aging population kind of right now. Okay. But I find here's the other thing about the stories, and it's a neat thing. If you get a rescue animal, what you find if you allow them to share their stories, and then everybody's agreed, okay, this happened to you, what you'll find is they get younger.
Really?
They literally get younger. I had a little dog named Dottie come to me, and she's 13. Actually, she was saved from a euthanasia room, literally.
Really?
Little rat terrier, tiny little thing. She lived to 21. And she completely left her story behind. It completely ran the whole group.
They did. Yeah, it's usually the little ones that do it.
Exactly. So, when the stories are meant to be told and shared, and they have a purpose, and then allowing them to transmute, it's an alchemy that happens where they can grow forward.
I think it's beautiful. What was the most animals you've had at one time?
I never counted, because I think if I counted, I would have flipped out.
Shocked.
Here's the thing. It all worked. It was like this beautiful dance. And I never had to count who was going outside. I could always just energetically know everybody was there. I wasn't like 1, 2, it really, and they came and they went, and they've taught so much over the years. So I've been through many, many passings, all different ways, learned quite a bit about all the ways animal interface with humans, and it's huge.
It's huge.
It's bigger than we think.
I think so. I think you've enlightened a lot of us. We have a couple of questions we're going to get to. The hour has just flown by. We have like 10 minutes left. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
Talk about animals all day long. We'll let Cassie bring over a question.
All right.
That's answer it.
So let's see.
I have a Megan, a Cree. There you go. I just have to say, 2 days after my German Shepherd died, I found a white feather where he was laying when he was sick. When I got his paw print, they listed his birthday as my fiance's birthday, who had passed a few years before.
Wow.
Never had been to the vet hospital except for when he passed. Definitely a sign.
Absolutely.
2 people, I'm going to tell you, right? Definitely.
Yes, 100%. Very big confirmation and validation.
Very much so. I bet that was
animals will use feathers. They use some, as spirit does, things we recognize. And that, it's easy to go, oh, that was just a feather. I'm like, no, it was a feather. That was your feather. And it was from him.
Right.
Oh.
Krista says, I never had any experiences with pets, but I wanted to know if any of ones that have passed through my lifetime or around me.
So let me read that again. I never had any experiences with pets, but wanted to know if the ones that have passed through my lifetime or around me. Have you felt animals? See, this is where you're going to have to work with me on the comments.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Have you felt animals around you? I find it interesting you have that question, because that tells me you have some kind of memory of associations with animals that are trying to come through.
Right.
Yeah, totally. I'd recommend journaling a little bit on that and see what comes through. That's a great, because I'm feeling energy around that.
Yeah, me too. Like I feel there is definitely some that are still hanging around, but it's weird because there's no emotional connection. I feel like there was a pass through too, but yeah, do some automatic writing and some journaling for sure to see. Cree had one. I have a 14-year-old dog with cancer. We know she is energy too, so we use calming practices with her. Yeah, that's beautiful. Any other suggestions for a dying pet with cancer or something like that?
I like this that she's sharing, because everybody, thank you for sharing this. You can use colored blankets because the color has energy to it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Energy. And I always like flower essences too. And I have a company I've used for years with my animals. It's called Green Hope Farm Essences. Okay. If you look them up, they're in New Hampshire, and they have a wonderful array of flower essences that you can put on their pads or on the top of their head or in their water even. And it helps with transition. It helps even if like for anxiety. I mean, there's a whole host of things that essences will help with. It's a wonderful high vibration company.
What's it called again?
Green Hope Farm Essences in New Hampshire.
Got it.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. And I always sing to them. And another thing I would do is
please.
Animals love to hear their stories, especially toward the end.
They do?
They love to be read to, like children. And they love to hear, tell me again how I came to you.
Aww.
How they came, and tell them why they're important, and tell them what gifts they've shared with you that you would have never had except they came into your life. This is the most beautiful time to do that. And if you don't have that time, you can certainly do that also in a letter to them. And you will be surprised at what comes through, because you'll be like, and this gift and this gift. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Oh, awesome. They're going to try it and do both.
Good.
That's some really, really great advice. Lauren Mayfield, sending good vibes your way. Might have a reading, please. Well, you got to let us know what you want to know about.
Yeah. Give us some context.
You got to give us something. You want us to pull a card? I can just pull a card for you. But if you want something about a pet, you got to let us know.
Yeah, I always tell people what's on your heart, like what it is, what do you need clarity on? You know, what do you want to know? A lot of people will say, does my pet have a message? And I said, well, what's on your heart that you're needing a message for?
I know.
Right? Do you want to know if they like their blue bowl? Or I don't think so. Pretty sure we want to go deeper.
Yeah. Tell me about imprinting. What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
Oh, yes. Actually, you must be psychic, because actually my next show, or one of the shows coming up, is Animal Energy Imprints.
There
you go. Imprinting is, like I was talking about, when you sit with them and as they're, in the last stages of their life, you actually, you imprint their energy. They imprint their energy on you.
Okay.
They actually also imprint their energy at various spots in the house. So you can feel them when you walk by it, or the person that says, there's an indentation in the pet bed. I'm so yes, the imprints are the energy they leave, and that's a whole interesting subject about where energy is left and how it's left. And do they leave it deliberately? So yes, absolutely.
Awesome. I pulled a card for Lauren Mayfield, and then we'll look at Julie's comments next. But anyway, Lauren, I got Battle of the Blues. It's time to start taking steps forward for positive change. So it's time to get out of the funk and shake it off and go have fun and live life again and find joy again. So I don't know if you've gone through some transition or a loss or something like that, but it just feels like it's time to spark some joy back into your life again. So that's the card that I pulled for you, Lucy. Good luck with that. And then we have Julie says, I lost my Yorkie Maggie 2 years ago after having her for 18 years. Oh my gosh, that's a long time. I still feel her at my feet when I wash dishes and when I'm getting ready in the morning. I think it's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. I love that you are so in tune with her, because they do continue on with us, and they do send us other animals. They do participate in our lives. And it's again, one of those things, I think for the human mediumship part, we're getting better at understanding that. But for the animal piece, I'm like, it's the same. So I love that you acknowledge that when you feel her at your feet. Do you, or when you're washing dishes, do you acknowledge her? Do you say, thank you so much for being here? How did you know I needed this right now?
You can still talk to them, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would just be like, oh my gosh, you're here. I'm so excited. It is. It's a wow to have them come in.
And I don't do pet readings, but I keep hearing a little bell. Julie, any little bell with your dog, or do they ring a bell to get out? Any bell connection with anybody, I guess, who's listening? Because I just keep hearing this little tiny bell keep ringing. So I'm just going to throw it out there. That's what we do.
Any context? Anybody want to grab this one?
Grab that one.
Well, I will say this. So none of almost none of my pets have collars, except for the newest one,
Merlin.
I
saw it.
And I had to put a little bell on him because otherwise because I'll like get up and move around the condo and he'll come sidle right up next to me, and then I'll go just to move and he'll be right underneath my feet without me knowing it. And I, again, like I was telling you before the show, I was like, this little kitten has like zero sense of self-preservation. So I just was like, okay, we're putting a bell on you so that I know when you've moved around the house, so that I know that, because like otherwise I'll be like, oh, you were right there, and all of a sudden you're way over here. So he's my little magical kitten. He is.
Well, you got to understand names have energy. So
they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
My little Merlin.
And then Julie said he did have a ball that had a bell sound. So there's your validation for you, Miss Julie. Yay. I know it. I know it's connecting to you. I was like, I hear it. It's here.
Like, anybody got a bell in the room?
Where's the bell? Where's the bell coming from? My dog's not in here. So where is that coming from? So yay. Hello, everybody. Gosh, we're out of time. And I wish we just, everyone's commenting. Yay. I'm glad you like that. So thank you for coming on, Tami. It was so interesting. We loved it.
Good time. I've really had a good time. The animals are overjoyed to be able to share in the stories and to help people understand them in a different way. You know, one conversation at a time.
Yeah. And I feel all the good energy and the good vibes. Where can people find you if they want a reading or they want something? Where are you at?
Well, my website is TamiHendrix.com, and I do private readings, and I also do a Facebook and YouTube live show twice a month, and I just had one today, so it lives on YouTube at Tami Soul Speak, and then the next one will be July 26th, and there's always something new that the animals are very channeled, so they give me the heads up, and then I'm like, I hope you can help me fill out what the show's going to be about.
Right?
It's very organic, and
it is.
Learn something, and the animals are always teaching.
And they're always teaching. Mm-hmm. We had another animal communicator. Who was that, Cassie? Do you remember? In Florida, the lady who wrote the book on animals.
Bernadette.
Who was it?
Bernadette. Now I can't think of her last name, but she was the one that reached out when Osiris disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's big animal communicator too. She wrote a beautiful book on every kind of animal species.
Yeah, it's called The Ark. And basically it's like her whole thing is the animal totems and everything like that. Yeah. So it's like she did like the whole zoo.
The whole zoo.
The whole thing.
The whole shebang. Every animal to exist. You can go find.
Yeah. So
that's
always fun to have the animal people on. Look her up. Yeah. You guys might have something in common. And I think she's on the East Coast too.
Okay.
She's in Florida, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm Tracy Escobar in the Red Couch Medium. You can find me on all places, Red Couch Medium, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And my website is redcouchmedium.com, where you can kind of just find everything, because Cassie did an amazing job building my website. So anything you want is out there on the website. Find me anywhere. And Cassie, where can people find you?
All right. You can find me at Stargazers Unite, stargazers.unite on all social platforms. So, come find me.
Come find us. We want to thank you all for joining us on YouTube and Facebook, and all of the people that always come every single week. We appreciate you. We love you. Always making our guests feel so welcome and bringing in all the questions. So again, Tami, we thank you. We'd love to have you back anytime you want to come back.
All right. Thank you.
And we'll see you all next time on Metaphysical Happy Hour. See you later. Bye, guys.